All right, guys. We are live here. This is actually I'm actually really excited about this particular interview because I actually have that actually has a product before he comes on to the show. And not only does he have a product, it's a product that I version and I'm actually making, and not only me, but there's a bunch of people making a ton of money. So this is one of the few products that I've been liquidity farming for a really long time. It's one of the things I've actually made a lot of money on over the years. And I was actually looking for a product like this, but none existed, nothing. And I'll just, before I introduce Alex here, I'm actually going to show you my account so people can understand how powerful this system is. A revolution. It's a game changer. I don't know how Alex feels about it, but what he's built, we'll ask him in a minute, but what he's built is a complete game changer in when you're trying to make money off of crypto. In fact, these are the type of projects that come out at these times. I believe this is kind of the bottom of the market that you need to take advantage of. So I'm going to show you my account. I have made over $2,000, $2,500. I'm making over $200 using this, as he said, using this tool. This is basically a tool, and the reason it does this is because he's using Snuggle technology, which is SnuggleFi, which you can also go to, which is basically he doesn't go and he doesn't buy into the positions. He snuggles up to them so that you don't have to pay swap fees, MEV bots. This is a strategy that is being employed at the most advanced levels, but it was done manually for the last, I'll find out what, last 5-10 years it was probably been done manually, Alex?
5 years.
5 years. So this has been a manual process that only the big guys could do. Now you can do it and you can earn. I mean, this account is crazy. It's been going on over 2 weeks now, and I'm still at 520%. It's actually come down. I was at 600. I'm going to be able to basically go 3x, 4x my money. I don't have to wait for Bitcoin or Ethereum to go up or down. I don't really care anymore. Money in the system. I don't even care anymore. And changes your whole mental state, your whole mental mind of how you think about crypto income. Because now Bitcoin goes up or down. I don't care. I actually just wanted to stay in a range now because you earn more when it stays in a range. So anyways, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm just loving it. And the community in the Discord, they all love this product too. And if there's any people that have questions, they can ask right here. But before we get into it, why don't you introduce yourselves, let people know your background, a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Alex Welch, aka Yabonks. A lot of you might be familiar with me on YouTube. I'm a senior software engineer, and I am the founder of Snuggle and MaxFi. So I developed this technology after teaching concentrated liquidity position management professionally for the past few years in private investor groups. And like Dow King said, these private investor groups with large amounts of money, they use concentrated liquidity management techniques that most people don't even know about. And these are the techniques that I've been teaching for years to these folks, and how I manage my positions as well. And I've been able to make a living doing that for the last 5 years since concentrated liquidity became a thing when Uniswap V3 came out in 2021. And before that, as you know, Dow King, we were both in the V2 full range liquidity pools, which is very different. The returns were still great, but with concentrated liquidity, the returns are astounding if you know what you're doing. So I wanted to take what I learned, what I had been doing myself, and what I had been teaching people, and automate it in a really easy to use way for other people. I initially built Snuggle for myself so I could save myself the 5 to 10 hours of time each week that it took me to manage all my concentrated liquidity positions. And I said, what if I could just automate this on the blockchain? And then all I do is monitor the positions. I don't have to rebalance them manually. And I did that. And what I found is not only did I save that 5 to 10 hours a week, but my performance far outperformed what I could do manually, because I could set the exact parameters for the strategies that I came up with, and they would execute whether I was working on another software engineering project, whether I was sleeping, or whether I was spending time with my family. And it just goes, it just runs automatically, and the money just accumulates in my wallet.
So let me ask you this. You brought up something really interesting. You said you were doing this before teaching people. So you worked for a company that taught this. So because you're teaching some advanced strategies in our Discord, and you had a video come out yesterday. It was very advanced. How you take a position on
Yeah.
one side, another side. I never even thought about it, and I've been doing this for at least 5 years. I've been making money off liquidity farming for a long time,
Yeah.
and I've never, all of the research I did, no one had ever told me to do that, and I did it, and it's working. And so, like, can you tell me a little bit about like what you were teaching, or like how does it work? Like you were telling me these people were paying like $10,000 to just enter and have you teach them. Is that what it was? Like, how does this whole thing work?
Yeah. So I'm glad you enjoyed that video, by the way. I've been doing that a long time and teaching that stuff for a long time. So I know it like the back of my hand. And I've been working the last 2 years with Crypto Labs research. A lot of you have probably heard of the Underdog Investor Group. And we teach these advanced concentrated liquidity management strategies in there. We also have the fast track program for people who want to deploy a lot of capital and want to get their hands held while they're doing it and get one-on-one guidance. So these are whales with 6, 7, 8-figure portfolios trying to get into these liquidity pools and do it in a way where they're not going to lose a bunch of money and in a way that they're going to make the most amount of money off of their deployed capital. So those type of folks especially really wanted an extra set of eyes from experts to help guide them through that process. So that's what I've been doing. I'm also a software engineer. That's my main job. I teach the DeFi stuff, the concentrated liquidity position management, for fun because I just love doing it. DeFi is my passion, as you know. So it's really fun to be able to completely change someone's life when you can basically replace their income from their jobs with their liquidity positions.
Oh,
And they're like,
wow.
wow, I'm making more money per month from my liquidity positions than I am from my white collar office job. And that's a really rewarding feeling.
When you were helping these people set up these positions, what was the returns? Obviously, you're telling me they're putting in 6 and 7 figures into these liquidity pools. So they must have been getting, like, if you're putting in $1 million, you're probably making like what,
A
30,
lot
40%? You're making a lot, right?
more than that. So
Wow.
we generally try to target 10% returns per month
Per
and
month.
per month. So that'd be 120% APR.
Wow. Okay.
Now, one thing to note, the markets fluctuate and we have bear markets, we have sideways markets, we have bull markets, and
Yes.
our strategies adapt and our performance will fluctuate. Some months you might only do 5%. Some months you might do 15%, but we try to target that 10% and we try to do it mostly on blue chip positions like Bitcoin slash USDC, wrapped ETH slash USDC, things that people are comfortable holding long term. Oftentimes they already are. So we would have a lot of these people come in like, hey, I've got $500,000 of Bitcoin sitting here. I want to generate cash flow with it. How do I do that in a way where I don't lose my entire bag,
Bitcoin.
but I can get some returns out of it while I'm waiting for the market to do its thing? You know, we got 4-year cycles. It could take a long time to, you know, swing trade those 4-year cycles. As you know, buy in the bear, sell in the bull. Dollar cost average usually beats everything else, takes a lot of the emotion out of it. But what really takes the emotion out of it is liquidity provisioning. You can deploy your capital oftentimes in a wide range strategy where the returns are still really great, but you incur much less of a thing called impermanent loss. And you find that sweet spot where the fees you're earning far outpaces any impermanent loss you incur. And at the end of the month, you're hoping to take home about 10% on average. Some months 5, some months 15, some months way more than that, like in a good sideways market or a bull market where everything's going up
Way higher.
and we have tons of volume. The returns are absolutely ridiculous in those scenarios. But the real money to be made is right now in the bear market. So if you dollar cost average into your positions now as an accumulation strategy, and then your positions are further accumulating and generating more tokens for you, and you hold them or redeploy them and compound them, when the bull market comes and everything, you know, Bitcoin 2, 3, 4x's, ETH, you know, 3, 4, 5x's, and some of these altcoins 10x, some of these really speculative coins might 100x.
Right.
That's when all of a sudden that, you know, $50,000 you farmed during the Bitcoin or during the bear market turns into 2, 3, 4x that in the bull market. So we also try to take a macro perspective and apply portfolio theory to allocation, so people don't overexpose themselves to like a single altcoin, which we see often. We want to make sure they're heavily allocated to the blue chips, stuff that they would hold regardless, and then have a smaller allocation in their portfolio for some of these more speculative, higher risk, higher reward plays, like for instance, Kelly Claude and Claude Token, BankerBot, all this other stuff that we've been talking about, where the returns are crazy, absolutely nuts.
Crazy.
But we use those as boosters just to bring up the overall portfolio APR, and then we feed the returns back into our blue chip positions.
Let me ask you about your dev skills, because a lot of people, when I bring up MaxFi or Snuggle, bring up like, is it a safe system to use and all these things. And I've talked to you and I tell them what I know that you've told me, but I'd love to hear it direct from your mouth. But what is your, like, when did you become a dev? Like, what is your skills? And then we'll talk about how MaxFi and Snuggle work. So when you deposit money, how it all works. Can you give us kind of a little bit of a background of yours?
Absolutely. So professionally, I've been a software engineer for the last 20 years. I went to school for computer science and electrical engineering long ago. I'm 38 now, and I've been a senior software engineer in the corporate world for the last 10 years of that. So I've managed large enterprise systems for a lot of the popular apps from companies you're familiar with: Best Buy, Cleveland Clinic, a lot of big medical systems, a lot of big internet service providers. So that's what I do for my day job. It pays great, benefits are wonderful, and I can use it to just heavily feed my investments, right? So even though I don't technically need a job at this point because of liquidity positions, I still work because it's just icing on the cake. I can speed up that snowball effect to where I can generate a large amount of returns. So liquidity positions are great because I have the freedom to pay the bills. If I want to go live in the back of a van like I did for a while, traveling around, and just live off of my DeFi positions. But at the same time, if you've got a healthy income coming in through business or your corporate job, you can really speed that along. Now, for me, I've been a developer since elementary school. My dad taught me programming, how to build computers. I was launching websites in the 3rd grade about Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, things that interested me then. So I've been a tech geek forever, and I've done really well as a full stack software engineer in my professional career. And as you know, I got my start in the DeFi space about 4 or 5 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. And I would analyze other people's smart contracts and I would audit them in my videos basically and say, hey, look out for this function here. This could be exploited, or this gives the developer this amount of control. So make sure you trust them to not rug you, that kind of stuff. So I've really been into the smart contract space, especially Solidity code, EVM stuff. And so when it came time to build Snuggle, it was pretty easy for me. And the website stuff, obviously, I could do that in my sleep. Right. Yeah, so that's my experience. And
20 years. So you're a senior developer. So you're the guy everybody's trying to find and trying to hire, because there's not too many senior devs out there.
I am turning down some amazing job opportunities right now from recruiters and things like that. They're always coming after me, but Snuggle and MaxFi are growing so fast at the moment.
They are.
And I really want to put my focus into taking this as far as it can go. I want to see this become a $30 million protocol in the next few years.
I think it will, because it's so easy to use, and also because there's already over $200,000 combined in there, and it's been really a little bit over a week since we really started marketing it. It's crazy. And it's getting this big so fast because people are realizing how powerful it is. But I wanted to talk to you about one more thing: safety of the protocol, because I love the fact that you're not an overseas dev and there are no other devs involved. You're the guy that looks at the contract.
Only one. So
this is, to me, is important.
You don't even have control over. You don't even have control of the smart contracts. I have an iron grip on that.
And then the great thing is, from what I understand from you, is that it's not even Snuggle and MaxFi don't even hold any of the tokens. This is more like a pass through. It's more like a platform that manages your position. So please correct me if I'm wrong, because people have been asking me. This is what I'm saying, because when I talk to you, basically that they open a position, and all that MaxFi and Snuggle do is put that position into the dexes and farm. So your money isn't being held by anyone, and that's why you're able to withdraw it right away. When you withdraw the funds, you withdraw them right away, and there's no lag, because there's some systems out there that tell you got to wait. I mean, there's a couple like vault systems I've seen that make you wait 24 hours, a couple that say 1 week. So like those get me worried. When I have to wait for my money that I deposit, I don't want to wait. Like if I deposit money, I don't want to wait. There's no waiting. You can take it out whenever you want, just like you do with Uniswap or Airdrome. So can you give us a little bit of a background on how the security of the system works?
Absolutely. And you're totally right.
Okay.
So most protocols use pooled funds in a vault.
Okay.
And those
can you explain what a vault is first?
Sure. So a vault is usually a type of smart contract that takes funds in and then does something else with them, and ideally generates a return to return to the user's wallet. So Snuggle and MaxFi have a vault, if you will, but like you said, it's a pass-through. So users deposit funds, and instantaneously, Snuggle or MaxFi creates that position for the user on the decentralized exchange, the DEX. That position exists on the DEX itself. You can go to the DEX and see your position. So there's no black box magic happening where you don't know what's actually happening with your funds. As soon as you create the position, boom, it's on the DEX. As soon as you want your position to close and you click withdraw, boom, it's back into your wallet.
Yes.
I designed it that way because I don't want to manage people's money for them. That is not what I'm here to do. I'm here to build a tool, a utility to help people manage their own positions with their own strategies on the pairs that they want, not the ones that I want them to use. That's the difference between a lot of these vault pooled funds protocols. What they do, they just say, hey, give us your money. They put it in a big pot, and then they go take that and do who knows what to generate returns to then give some back to the users. And as you said, one of the sketchiest parts about that is when you want your money back, a lot of times it's gate kept by a person who says, you put in a withdrawal request on another protocol, and you have to wait 24 or 48 hours for somebody to look at it and be like, yeah, we can move some funds around and give them their money back. What if they botch that? What if they blow up the account? What if they decide to not give your money back because they just want to keep it? Those are the big risks you take with pooled funds. Also, they're a lot more hackable. Some of the biggest exploits, like Gamma Swap, a lot of these other ones, even Beefy and stuff, if they use a pooled fund architecture, if that whole pool gets compromised, all the money's gone.
Interesting.
So a single position architecture, although it costs more on our end, we pay a lot more in terms of gas costs and infrastructure to do this, but it's a lot safer for the end user. And that's my main goal. Like I said, I have my own money in here, a lot of it.
I do too. I have a lot in there too.
So I built this in the most secure fashion. First off, the zero swap architecture immediately takes most of the exploit vectors off the table. They don't even work. They're not even possible on a protocol like this. Why is that? When you swap tokens, you open yourself up to flash loan attacks. Somebody can try to intercept the swap in the same block on the blockchain. And what they could do is a flash loan. And in that single block, they can take a loan for like millions of dollars, push the price of the asset to where they want it, and then use that to compromise your swap. And then they can essentially get pennies on the dollar for the other asset and take the money out, and you're left with pennies. And if you're doing that with, $1 million in a pooled fund and somebody flash loan attacks you, the whole fund is gone. So I used two strategies here. Zero swap architecture takes that vector off the table entirely. Nobody can exploit the swaps. We don't swap. The second one is there's no pooled funds. So nobody can go try to exploit that pool of funds or steal it. It's your position is your position on the DEX. And if we have 1,000 positions in the system, that's 1,000 different positions on the DEXs, not in a vault.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, wow. I mean, there isn't another system like this. I've been doing this for years. And the second you came out with it, I mean, you saw I was all over you.
You rushed me on this one.
Well, yeah. Once you showed it to me, and I was like, I was like, but okay. So the big difference between, so you guys understand, between Snuggle and MaxFi is Snuggle, was Alex's idea, and his idea was to give you access to high yielding blue chip tokens to farm those, stable tokens, all these type of tokens. But of course, through my degenerate mind, when I looked at this and I saw what he was doing, and I saw the 4-hour delay, which we'll talk about in a minute, those 4-hour, 8-hour delays, I was like, oh my God. And there's no swap fees and all the whole system. When I looked at it, I was like, why aren't we farming degenerate tokens? What's wrong with you, Alex? And Alex is like, you keep away from me. And and I finally convinced him to do MaxFi. And to his credit, I'm thankful you did it, because we can see how powerful it is. It's so freaking powerful. It's insane. People are getting like 3-4 times. I mean, they were getting 3-4 times on the blue chips on Snuggle anyway, but imagine getting 3-4 times on already degenerate returns when you were getting 500%. Now it's 2,000%. I mean, it's mind bending. It's what crazy. Is happening. Yeah, it is mind bending. I thank you. Thank you for it.
Hey, thank you for persuading me to bring this to the Degen crowd, to the meme coin and altcoin enthusiasts, which I am myself. But
yeah,
with Snuggle, I really just wanted it to be blue chip, really square cut, really that's how I envisioned the brand. And I'm glad you talked me into opening up this technology on some of these lower liquidity pairs that have a whole host of inefficiencies in those markets, which is where the money is to be made. And the reason this is so powerful on those markets is because this is the most capital efficient, concentrated liquidity management system in the world. There's nothing else like it on the market. And when you apply these principles to those assets, the returns are absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, there's still risk. Do your research. You have exposure to the underlying assets in a liquidity pool. So if you're on this Kelly Claude token and you're getting, 5-6% returns per day, I wouldn't be holding those returns unless I really wanted to hold Kelly Claude into the next bull cycle. I'm dropping that as fast as I can and swapping it for Bitcoin. So that is why user education is so important, because this is a tool. And with this tool, you can use it well, or you can use it poorly. If you use it well, you will make a lot of money. If you use it poorly, you will lose a lot of money. So mind your strategies here. Don't just copy what other people are doing. Do your own research. Make sure that the pairs you're going into, make sure you have a thesis for the underlying assets like Wrapped ETH, like the meme coin, if you're doing that stuff, like the AI agent narrative right now. It's really hot at the moment. Like you said, it seems like the next virtuals platform, which was huge, and we all made a lot of money on that. Now, we can do the same thing, I believe, in these AI agent tokens on MaxFi and a lot of these other altcoins, meme coins. But keep in mind, a lot of these aren't long-term holds. These are temporary plays with extreme returns, and you need to capitalize on those and then move them into a more protected vehicle for when the bull run comes. In my case, that's Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin maxi.
Correct.
Except I still have exposure to the Degen stuff because the returns are so crazy. I get 5-6% per day on my Kelly Claude position right now, and I'm just swapping that for USDC and Bitcoin like immediately.
That's the way to go. And then this is an interesting question. See, as much as like I don't consider myself a major Degen, there's always someone that's more. See, like this guy. ICP, thank you for showing your true colors. MaxFi is missing lending pools. Bring liquidium to the system. Oh my goodness. I don't know if we need lending pools. It's always amazing to supply borrowed money to DEX pools. Well, you can do it on the
This is
DEX,
true.
but this is not really a DEX. This is a tool. This is a tool to maximize.
And a lot of people are doing just that. They're lending out their Bitcoin and Ethereum on Aave, borrowing USDC against it, and then putting that into liquidity positions to generate cash flow. So essentially, they're allowed, in that case, to hold their spot Bitcoin.
That's right.
Lend it out. They pay a very tiny amount of interest to borrow USDC. And then they use that cash to basically buy the assets to go into these liquidity positions. So if you do that, it is a form of leverage, and there is liquidation risk involved when you do borrow and lending. So be very careful. And I always keep my loan to value ratios, my LTVs, 30% or lower if I'm lending out Bitcoin, and 20% or lower if it's wrapped ETH or something else, just because the swings.
So let me give you an example. If Bitcoin's at 70,000 now, you would say you could go get a $35,000 loan.
That's
right?
50%. That's 50% LTV. That's above my risk tolerance personally. I know a lot of people who do that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always try to play it as safe as possible. I don't ever want to get some of my Bitcoin liquidated if it goes down to $35,000. I don't know if it will or not. I'm not an oracle, but I like to give myself very healthy margins for the market to do its thing and allow me to sleep at night.
So technically, I'm just saying on a technical basis, you could take that 35,000 liquidity farm, that 35,000, and make a return on it. Like you could literally take that 35,000, make another 35,000 in the year while you wait for your Bitcoin to go. My CP is talking about basically.
Correct. And one thing a lot of people do is, let's say you take that $35,000, you generate some cash flow from your liquidity positions.
Okay.
You can take the liquidity fees and rewards that you earn and use that to either add to your Bitcoin stack in the borrow and lend position, further increasing the health of your loan and making your LTV more favorable for you. Or you can take that and pay down the loan that you took, and that also makes the LTV healthier and more favorable to you. And the cool thing is, if you do that, let's say after a year, like you said, let's say you make 100% return on that. After that whole year, if you used all of the returns to pay back the loan, you have no loan now. You still have your Bitcoin lent out, no more USDC loan that you borrowed, and you have this $35,000 cash printing machine still going.
Oh, that's a really good point. I never even thought about this. Mo, thank you for your question.
It's a good one. And that's a strategy I've been teaching for years too. In these private investor groups, a lot of them do this. They borrow against their Bitcoin or ETH, and then they take USDC against it and put it into liquidity positions. They generate returns with the liquidity cash flow, and they use it to pay back the loans. Now they've got their liquidity positions free and clear without having to put any extra money in that they didn't have.
I mean, honestly, I might just do this. I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, that's actually pretty brilliant. You're right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
and you want to hear something even cooler?
Yeah.
A little variation of this. So when it comes to borrowing and lending strategies with liquidity positions, if you're very conservative, you take all the returns and you pay back the loan as quickly as possible.
Right.
If you're very aggressive and bullish on the market, you take all the returns, convert them to Bitcoin or ETH, and add it to your position. So this is your spectrum. Let's say you're farming USDC / Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, and you're doing this using capital that you've borrowed from your Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin here, you've borrowed some money, and you put it into a USDC / CBBTC position. Now this is over here earning liquidity fees in the form of USDC and CBBTC. You don't even have to do any swaps in this equation. When you get paid out in USDC, you take the USDC portion and you pay back the USDC loan. No swapping at all. And when you earn the CBBTC from your liquidity position, you take that and you add it to your CBBTC stack that you are lending out on Aave. And what you're doing, this is what I call the moderate strategy, right in the middle. You're adding to your lent position and you're paying down your loan at the same time, about 50-50. So your Bitcoin bag just keeps growing and your loan just keeps shrinking. And this further enhances the health of your loan and your LTV.
And you can also do this with ETH, guys. I do this mainly with ETH because I do own probably more Bitcoin, but I do think ETH is gonna this particular bull run. I think it's going to shock. It's going to melt faces. I definitely think Bitcoin's got a good 2 to 3x in it, but in that same tone, I think ETH has a good 3 to 5x in it. Personally,
Yeah,
I think it's way too cheap.
and that's the beauty of this. Everybody has their own preferences, their own outlooks, their own strategies.
Yeah.
And with a tool like this, you're not trusting some fund manager to make those investing decisions for you. That all lies in your hands. You choose your strategy, your assets, your market bias, your market outlook, your risk preferences. That's all yours. And this is just a tool to help you do liquidity management in a more capital efficient manner.
More cash flow. Can you tell us about how Snuggle Tech works? Because we've covered a little bit about why it's revolutionary. We've told them, but I'd like you to show them like what you did that completely has been a game changer for people farming, especially people farming the degenerate tokens, which I don't think you even thought about. But when I started asking you why we're doing so well on these Degen tokens, the main reason is these Degen tokens, guys, to rebalance them costs about 1%. These are 1% pools. So every time the system, like if you're in like one of these other systems, they charge you 1% to rebalance. And there might be like 5 rebalances in a week. So you might lose 5% of your entire stack just rebalancing, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So what MaxFi does is there's no swapping. It basically snuggles up to the tick, which Alex will explain. And because of this reason, we're the only ones using MaxFi are the only ones that can go into these pools and profit from them at this level because nobody else does it. Because if you open up a $10,000 position in, let's say, Kelly Claude or Banker, if you go rebalance it, well, you're going to lose $100. We don't. We just keep all the fees. So that's the biggest kind of benefit we've seen to the system. But go ahead. Why don't you explain it? You're a better explainer than me anyway.
So as you alluded to, everyone else pays swap fees. We earn those fees. They pay us and we don't pay them. So I'm sorry to everyone else out there providing liquidity. We are taking your money. You pay 1% on these pools every time you rebalance because you have to swap your tokens. That 1% goes into our positions. We get paid.
Oh, we're getting paid off of their positions.
We're getting paid off of their positions.
That's even funnier.
But when we rebalance, we don't swap. We don't pay that 1% swap fee. So they pay us and we don't pay them. So essentially, as we take up more and more of the TVL in these liquidity pools, everybody else is swapping inefficiently and paying us more and more, and we're keeping more and more of it. So that's one of the genius mechanisms behind a no swap system. And this all relies on the Snuggle rebalancing technique. Now, I wish I could take credit for coming up with that term, but it was invented in the UIG, the Underdog Investor Group, where I still am to this day. And years ago, one of the members in there coined that term for the technique that we had been doing, but we didn't have a name for it, but it was making us the most amount of money and saving us the most amount of fees and expenses. So when you rebalance, traditionally, let's say this blue pen is the current price on the chart. It's just going and my hand is your liquidity range. Now, let's say the price goes up to here. You're out of range, no longer earning fees. A traditional rebalancer, or what most people do, is they swap their tokens 50-50 to reposition them right back here. So the price is right in the middle of the range, earning fees again.
Correct.
That requires a swap. It incurs swap fees. You get hit with slippage on the swap, price impact, and MEV extraction from sandwich bots that are front running all of your swaps. We don't have that, but they do. And also, if you've noticed, this is a massive jump in your range. So you've now locked in a large amount of what's called impermanent loss, which we can cover later. Now, let's say the price moves back down here out of your range, and you do the same thing again. Boom, swap fees, slippage, price impact, MEV extraction, and massive impermanent loss. That gap between your range is impermanent loss that you've locked in. That's bad. Now, Snuggle Rebalancing saves you all of those costs and reduces impermanent loss by approximately 50%. Now, how this works, here's your range. Let's say you're right here earning fees. The price moves up out of your range. You do what's called a Snuggle Rebalance, where you snuggle your range right up next to the price. No swap involved because you're still fully in this asset that you were converted into. You're not swapping. Now, the price naturally will fluctuate and move back into your range, earning fees again. Cool, no swap necessary. Now, you notice that jump from here to here is much smaller than if I had gone all the way up to here. So that's the difference in impermanent loss that you save. Also, you save the swap fees, price impact, MEV extraction. And also, if you're using another rebalancing protocol, an automated liquidity manager, VFAT, Revert, all of these charge you a fee on each rebalance. That fee can be like 0.6% on top of all the stuff you're already paying, the swap fee, the slippage, all the other hidden costs. So you're getting hit on every single rebalance. And imagine you're running a tight range, and even a 10, 20% range, it's going to rebalance dozens, if not hundreds of times per year. And if you're getting hit with 0.3, 0.4, 0.6% every rebalance, your position is obliterated after a year. It is not feasible to do this kind of liquidity management on these systems, let alone the swap fees, the slippage, all the other crap that you get hit with. You're getting hit with their protocol fees on each rebalance on your underlying principle of your position. We do it completely differently. I did not feel good having that kind of protocol fee model built into Snuggle or MaxFi. So that's why I switched to a performance fee model. We only make money if you make money. So we take a performance fee on what you actually earn. So if you don't make any money, we don't charge you. If you rebalance, but you're not making any money, we're just paying the gas costs for your rebalance, and that's it. Cool, whatever.
We lose money.
We lose money. No,
we lose money.
But this is highly in the user's favor. Where on these other protocols, they don't care. They will cannibalize your positions alive, whittle them down so fast. And we're already battling impermanent loss and things like that with our strategies. Why, on top of that, would you destroy the positions faster just so they can? And they make boatloads of money doing this. I've run all the numbers. When I created Snuggle, I had the same protocol model, fee revenue generation model, because that's how everyone else was doing it. So that's where I started. And after running it on my own positions for a couple of weeks, I'm like, this is really restrictive and costing me, the user, more than I like. And I went back to the drawing board and I redesigned it to a performance fee model. And I'm like, cool, if I make money, I'm willing to pay for it. And that covers all the gas costs for my rebalances. But if I don't make money, if my position generates 0% in fees, the protocol doesn't make any money either. It highly incentivizes me as the developer and everybody in the community to help each other get better at liquidity provisioning, because the better you do, the better the protocol does, the faster we can grow. So it's more aligned with everybody's best interests in mind.
Yeah, I mean, originally I saw your fee tables. They were like the other guys, which was like it's 15. Not, I mean, it was quite high in a way because you charge on every rebalance, which is actually kind of crazy because you lose so much. But then I noticed the way you changed it was 15% of your profits, which is very reasonable. There's no taxes when you withdraw the money, none of that stuff. I've seen some projects actually tax people on entry and withdrawals, and like mind blown. Don't do that, guys.
Well, they do that to try to coerce you into staying in longer, because they want you to be, oh, I don't want to withdraw, because if I withdraw, I get hit with a 10% withdraw penalty on my principal of my position. So I'll just keep it in there for a year or two so I can make sure I earn enough to offset that. But that's so coercive and restrictive, and I don't like that. If I'm in a position and it's not doing well, I want to get out as fast as possible and try a different position.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And then actually we should talk about education. There's a lot of education tools on MaxFi. I can show you guys too. It's actually very important. A lot of people in the community are using this, by the way, and they're doing very well as far as the education goes. And you can see these numbers, guys. These are real numbers. These are, I'm sorry. It looks insane, and it is, but it is what it is. I mean, I just added this Kelly Claude position yesterday. And the idea is I'm making $30 a day on it. I used your technique on it.
It's crazy.
And I opened up two sides, a 500 and a 500. And yes, the position value has even gone up, by the way. So you can, because most likely Kelly Claude has gone up. And what my whole objective here is to get $30 a day for, I don't know, be like 15 days, a little bit over 15, 16 days, let's say call it 20 days, make all my money back, my compounding is off, and then take this money and put it either back into Kelly Claude if it's still printing, or put it in a Bitcoin or Ethereum pools, which paid less, not that much less. They still play well. They're still like, you know, I got so many positions, guys. I don't know where my positions are. I have endless amount of, and I'm still playing with this, and now I know what to do, and I'm going to be juicing my account over the weekend. I'm going to try to get this up to $300, $400 a day, because I just have money in my account for no reason. Like, it's just sitting around, and now I feel comfortable. I've kind of figured out the impermanent loss situation. I've kind of figured that out. But can you give us like some tips about impermanent loss? Because education is a big deal. And I'm going to show you one section. You got to go to the learn section, guys. Get started, core concept, power users, Degen strategies. And then also I'm putting up videos about what is impermanent loss, liquidity farming, and all the pools. Subscribe to this. This is a different channel. So subscribe to that channel, because as we get updates and the different pools, I'm going to start putting it on that channel, telling you guys what's going on. Plus, also on the Discord, guys, we're literally showing people every day, and other people are showing us their positions, and we're learning from one another which positions, whether it's Kelly Claude or Felix or a different one or a new token, is printing. So it's very important to come into the Discord, because you're going to at some point have to close out your Kelly Claude position and go into some other Degen position, or maybe you'll write it out. Everyone's different, but maybe for you 1,000% is good, but I'd rather get 2,000% if I can get it. So
it sounds so ridiculous when you say it.
It does.
But I'm over here doing the same thing. My position on MaxFi right now, got a couple $1,000 in here on some of these pools that you found. You know, I call you the alpha master.
Oh my
You're
God.
out here finding these up and coming tokens, or even established ones, these meme coins and altcoins that have a strong narrative. And then you convince me to add them to MaxFi, and I do. And then you immediately throw a couple $100 in it, see how it performs after a couple days and weeks. And then everybody else starts doing the same, and they start showing, here's the range width I'm using, here's the rebalance delay, here's why I think this is going to do well over the next few weeks. And I've been able to basically outsource that research to you guys. And when I see you guys pulling out winners, I scale in. And like that Kelly Claude position, I'm making like $50 a day, $40-50 a day on like $1,000.
Do you want me to show your screen?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so here's I did the same thing. I know you said you copied my technique. I did a 20% wide range.
You did 20% wide, yeah.
Two of them.
I did 10% wide to give you guys an idea. I went a little bit more degenerate.
Yeah.
10% is considered like middle ground, but this is a stupid token, so it's.
And I'm more of a I'm more conservative than Dow.
He's more conservative.
I'm more conservative. So I did a lot of research on the chart using technical analysis to help me determine the range and the rebalance delay. And maybe I'll give you an example of my thought process of how I do that. I posted a video on the Yabonks channel and on the SnuggleFi channel on YouTube. Go subscribe there. I'm posting videos like that where I'm showing my strategies in real time as I'm setting up my positions, how I determine my ranges, how I determine my rebalance delay to lower impermanent loss over time while still maximizing my yield. So that's the name of the game, finding that sweet spot between lowered impermanent loss and maximizing your yield. And in concentrated liquidity provisioning, impermanent loss will always be there. So you have to make sure you're out earning the impermanent loss to make it worth it and to end up profitable at the end of whatever period of time you are evaluating. So here are my 2 Kelly Claude positions. They've been open for a day and a half. I just made a video 2 days ago, or a day and a half ago, showing myself opening this position. And with the 20% wide range, it's earning 1,382% APR, which on $540, by the way, this value has gone up too because Kelly Claude has come up in price and Wrapped ETH went up a little bit. It's earning me $20 a day on $540. That's nuts. I've already made $31 on it in a day and a half. My other position, which I showed my staggered my double snuggle technique, where I open a single side and I sandwich the price in the middle. Really capital efficient way to enter these positions with no swaps. So I did a double snuggle. I double snuggled it, and I did 20% wide range on each. So I have a massive 40% wide range effectively covering the price chart of Kelly Claude here. So I'm covering a huge swath of the price. Here's 20%. Let me double that. So I have 2 positions essentially like this. And I wish I could get rid of that that thing. Let me widen this so you can see it better. But this essentially is what it does when you do a double snuggle like this. Like here's the current price. I put a range below it and a range above it. And I did that by just dropping in Wrapped ETH here and Kelly Claude here in single-sided deposits on MaxFi. Now, whichever way the price goes, it's going to fall into one of my buckets, and I'm going to be earning fees on it. And with the rebalance, these will eventually overlap like this with the current price in the middle, and I'm double earning. And that's what's happening right now. That happened very quickly on this pool. So both of them are in range. Let me zoom out. If you notice, here's the current price of Kelly Claude. It is actively in range on both of them. So here's my 20% wide range, 20% wide range. They started as a double snuggle because of the auto rebalance after a couple hours. One of them rebalanced like this, and now they both have captured the price in both positions. So I'm earning on both positions now, and I still effectively have probably a 30-35% wide overall range. So if the price wicks one way or the other and comes back real quick, I've earned all of the fees from that price wick, whereas other people with a tighter range might have missed some of that volume. So
what I like about your position here is if you could go back to your chart that you had up.
Sure.
What I like about it is you're going to be sitting here earning on one side or the other while you split up your liquidity a little bit into 2 different places. One side might go out, but the other side is still eating. And in a way, that's better range and not eating for, let's say, 10% or 15% of the time. You're always gathering those fees. So sometimes having a 15% versus a 10% range might be better. It seems, right? What have you seen?
Yes. So that is exactly right. There's a sweet spot to find with concentrated liquidity and time in range. So if you concentrate your liquidity, you earn a higher proportion of the overall liquidity fees that get paid to the liquidity providers like us in this pool. So if you have a tight range, 10% wide range on your position, and it's trading in there you're getting most of the fees. Everybody else with 50% or full range positions, they're getting pennies compared to you. That's why concentrated liquidity is so powerful. But if the price, like on a volatile token, wicks out real quick, well, sure, you earn the fees on that first part of the move, but once it's out of here, you're not earning fees. But if you have a wider range, you're earning a little less while you're in range, but you're capturing those moves as well. And over time, on average, you find a sweet spot between maximizing time in range and concentrating your liquidity to maximize the amount of the fees that you earn compared to everybody else in the pool.
It's amazing, man. That's, I mean, people don't understand Snuggle and MaxFi. It's a revolution, guys, in LP farming. If you're not using this, probably I'm going to say in 6 months, because I got a feeling in 6 months this is going to have millions and millions of dollars. Only about $250,000 in it now, but there's going to be millions of dollars. You're just going to be giving your money to everybody that's on MaxFi and
Yes.
that's Snuggle. You're literally going to be handing your money over to them, because if you're in those pools, you're rebalancing. We're taking the fees without the need to rebalance. Those systems you're in are antiquated. They're done.
They're dinosaurs.
Antiquated. They're dinosaurs, you know? So I'm blown away. There is one question here. What do you think of this question? Have you considered injective pool?
I think, I don't know if injective is on base chain. I think it's on Binance Smart Chain.
I think so too. Yes.
When we roll out to BNB chain, then I will probably add injective as one of the pairs on MaxFi. And that will be coming soon. I'm working on it.
We are moving to BNB and AVAX because of me, because I'm a degenerate. And I want to be in those BNB and AVAX pairs that are, I got a feeling some of those pairs are going to pay like 4,000 or 5,000%. I have a feeling.
Crazy. It's going to be crazy.
I'm not sure, but I have a sick feeling that there's going to be some degeneracy going on over there, especially AVAX. AVAX, dude. I've pulled some I farmed some blue chip stuff on AVAX for crazy numbers, for well over 100%, multiple hundreds of percent, stuff that shouldn't be getting that type of number. So yeah, once we open up different chains, you guys will see like one chain BNB. I mean, you'll see like ETH USDC doing 800% on one chain and 400% on another chain. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
And Snuggle is already on base chain and Arbitrum. MaxFi right now is just on base chain. I'm working on getting the Arbitrum deployment finished. And once I finish that, then I'm going to roll out both Snuggle and MaxFi to probably Binance Smart Chain next, because there's just so much demand for it from our community. And then Avalanche.
Avalanche, yeah.
And each chain slightly different with the gas economics. So all I have to do is just kind of tweak some things for the gas optimizations to make sure that, you know, us paying the costs on all of the rebalances for everybody is feasible. So that's all we basically have to do. And then those will be available very soon.
Is there any other questions you had for me or anything? I mean, our Discord is unbelievable, by the way. People are teaching each other after a week. So it's amazing, but is there anything else that you wanted to cover?
I do. So I know you've been a liquidity provider for a long time, like me. Mm-hmm. What has your experience been so far using MaxFi and the Snuggle technology to do your liquidity providing now?
So liquidity farming, I did mainly on, let's see, I did on Uniswap and PancakeSwap. I like the most. PancakeSwap, I like the most. But the problem is, this is an extra benefit of MaxFi. I can now farm PancakeSwap, Uniswap, and Airdrome, and I farmed on all of them, and I can see it all in one screen. And I can see how much I'm earning on one screen, how much my APRs all are on one screen. And because I can do that, I can move money to the more efficient places. I'm like, because before I would open up a position on Uniswap or Airdrome or PancakeSwap, and, you know, unless I'm like checking them every day, which most people don't, you know, especially liquidity farming, you're not going to check it every day because it's kind of annoying too. It's a little annoying. Got to go to the website, bring up liquidity pools, and then when you're out of range, and it was kind of a pain. And in the past years, I'd done a lot of liquidity farming on Faro, which is a exchange on AVAX, and I had to rebalance literally every day, and it takes like 10, 15 minutes to do it every day. And I got to the point where I stopped, even though I was making okay money, because it just becomes annoying. It becomes this like, like, yeah, you're making okay money, like let's say $40, $50, $30, but there's some days you're not making that much and you still got to do it. You're like $10. You're like, hey, is it worth it? And I'm doing the swap and I'm losing money. And I'm like, am I making money here? Am I not making money here? Because then you're doing the swaps and you're losing. And it's like, you don't know. The transparency is gone. So with MaxFi, what I've noticed is I'm far more active in managing it. It's a lot easier to manage. Single side, if I don't have the other token, yeah, it's easy to swap for and put it in there. But also the single side, I noticed when you do it with the technique you showed, being on both sides is the way to go. Like that's a technique.
Yeah, it's a more advanced technique, but it's great.
It's more advanced. And I can employ these more advanced things and I'm managing over 30 pools. I couldn't do that with Uniswap.
That's a full-time job back in the day.
Can't do that. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not even possible. And when I want to withdraw, it's easier with MaxFi than it is with the dexes themselves. I click a button, withdraw, I got all my money in one click. With these other dexes, it's like unstake. Now you can withdraw. So you wait. Then you got to wait, and then you got to unstake. And then sometimes it makes you go through one more step. I don't even understand it anymore. So there's actually less steps. I don't know what you've done. Some voodoo magic.
I handle all that. I handle all that on the back end. So I stake and unstake your positions for you, and it's all in one transaction.
You see, like I didn't know all this. So you basically taken a step out of what the mess people have to go through.
Yeah.
And the reason it takes so long to do all these liquidity positions and to manage them is because every step that's added is a pain in the ass, and is on the back end, and it just makes just managing the whole liquidity farm seamless. It's just, and I don't have to go to like 5 different websites anymore. I go to 3, and then once you add in all those other pools, can you imagine? I'm going to be able to manage 100 positions. Like even if you're a professional liquidity farmer, if you're not on MaxFi or Snuggle, you're wasting your time. You could do 100, 200 positions and manage them as a management tool, as just management tool. And you could be more effective with your time. And then you can take that time to research other tokens, which is what I also love about this. I've opened up like 5 or actually more, like 7 or 8 new positions. And I'm just waiting to see how much they earn. Well, you don't usually do that on a DEX, because there's so many tokens to pick from. And I was able to give you the list of tokens I thought were good. And you put it through your validation system. And we make sure there's enough liquidity and all this. So basically, a set of eyes have already looked at all the tokens that are listed on MaxFi. And basically, you've gone, there's enough liquidity, there's enough yield. And, being able to do that saves me as a degenerate farmer a lot of time.
Yeah. And that's why I built Snuggle, was to save myself time, because I was doing this, for a living. And like I said, I was spending 5 to 10 hours a week managing just a couple blue chip positions on DEXs and other ALMs, automated liquidity managers. And you're right, there are a lot of steps: staking, unstaking, rebalancing. And I built Snuggle to just do what I already do with the Snuggle rebalancing technique, but to automate it precisely and get myself my 10 hours a week back so I could spend it with my family and or on, more highly leveraged activities. Like you said, some days I'm like, oh, $10 and I'm out of range. Okay, now I got to do my TA, my technical analysis, and I have to wait. I put rules in place for myself. Like, okay, I'll wait 24 hours before doing a Snuggle rebalance. I set an alarm on my phone. I wake up the next day, my alarm goes off. I go to my computer, click, click, click. If I'm out, if I'm traveling, I can't do it. So with Snuggle, it it follows my precise instructions. If I want to do a 15% wide, super conservative position on Bitcoin / USDC with a 24 or 48-hour rebalance delay, because, you know, sometimes one day it'll pump 10% and the next day it's back down 10%. And I don't rebalance and lock in that impermanent loss if I'm doing the super conservative strategy with the bulk of my capital. I want that to just be like slow moving, but I still want it to be automated, because that's 5 or 10 hours a week that I got to manage this. It's all automated. And then other people heard about what I built and they're like, dude, you gotta share this with other people. And I did. And as soon as I started, people started coming to me saying, this is incredible. You came to me like, we got to get this on Degen pairs. The efficiency is so
amazing.
It's so much more efficient that those efficiencies will be so much more dramatic on these lower liquidity, inefficient pairs. And I'm just like, all right, let's try it out with MaxFi. Boom. The numbers are crazy. So again, thank you for encouraging me to build MaxFi with the Degen pairs, the meme coins and the altcoins. And I'm so glad to hear that it has made your life easier as a liquidity provider, because that was my whole goal here.
Yeah.
The goal was to make it easier to do, to make it faster to do, to make it more hands-off, and to increase capital efficiency. And it has knocked those out of the park. So thank you for helping encourage me to move this to new markets.
Wait till we're on AVAX and BNB. Holy moly. That's all I got to say. Holy moly.
Those communities are absolutely rabid. I can't wait.
It's going to be. People don't know what's going to happen in like a few weeks, guys. You don't know. You have no idea. You're going to see MaxFi slammed everywhere on X with their people saying, I made 5,000%. It's going to be insanity. And the fact of the matter is, it's probably just a normal run of the mill day, and we're not even in a bull run. This is just a normal stagnant, crypto market, which is great for liquidity farming. This is actually when you want to farm.
I agree. And it blows my mind, the numbers we're seeing in a bear market. So I've been doing this for a couple cycles now. And one thing, we all notice is during the bear market and when prices are down, the volume is lower in all the pools. So, as liquidity providers, our returns drop slightly. And the numbers we're pulling in Snuggle and MaxFi
crazy
are beyond bull market numbers. So it's really cool to see. And I can only imagine what the bull market is going to look like when I can't wait to see somebody being like, I'm making 10,000% on this coin right now. We saw it last bull run, even with just standard dexes on some of the, like Fart Coin, for instance. I coached a guy who he went heavy into Fart Coin. Like he put $100,000 into the liquidity pool. And granted, he had $1 million in Bitcoin and everything. And he's just like, oh, it's fine. I'll take the risk. He made over $1 million farming Fart Coin on Orca on Solana. And he was pulling in
insanity
$5,000, $10,000, $20,000 per day from his positions. And he was just taking it all and giving it to the community members, like for fun. Like, here's $10,000 worth of Fart Coin, go nuts. And people like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, but he was taking the majority of it and just buying more Bitcoin. And he just like doubled or tripled his Bitcoin bag in less than a year by farming the degenerate Fart Coin liquidity pools that were printing hard. And he rode that narrative all the way up and even all the way back down. And he had already ROI'd, so he just lets them run and they just keep printing. It just keeps printing to this day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the idea here is MaxFi. Now you have a tool where you can print money. Literally, you have a money printer. You take that money printer and you can put the money in new pools like ETH and BTC, or just go buy BTC and ETH and stack it for yourself and grow your wealth, grow your stack of blue chips. That's really what you got to use it for. And I think if you do this for a year or two, the people that really understand this and they put $10,000, $20,000 in this and let it run for a year or two, I really think, and I'm going to be adding about another $5,000 over the next week here.
Me too.
I really think I can get to a point where I'm making $400 to $500 a day. That's mind bending. It's mind bending numbers.
Yeah, I make anywhere just on between MaxFi and Snuggle. I'm making about 200, 250 bucks a day. And I'm just scaling it up. So I'll be at $500 a day just on these two systems, probably in the next couple weeks. And the majority of my capital is in blue chip. It's just in Bitcoin pools. That's the crazy thing. And I have just a small allocation towards the Degen plays.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And that small allocation is paying half the fees for my whole portfolio. That's how extreme the returns are on some of these right now. Now I want to ask you another question. So I've known you a long time, and I know you're a brilliant investor. You're a really a big picture kind of guy. You've always got good macro analysis of everything going on. So what is your strategy for the market right now, and where do you think it's headed, and how are you planning to play the market?
Right. So MaxFi and Snuggle have kind of changed my views on things a little bit because I was liquidity farming. I actually had a bunch of money in Pancake Swap and Uniswap, which I brought over. And the facts of the matter are this. I'm pretty damn bullish. I think this is the bottom, because the way I was looking at it was Bitcoin was going to hit 58,000, hit 59,000. And the way I get to 58,000 was 69,000 was the top of the last market. The market before, we were at 20% below the top. So 20% below 69 would have been 58. That's where I thought we would go. A lot of people were saying 50 and 40. I've even heard 30,000. I think those are ridiculous. Those are the same people that were in my server a cycle ago when we were at 16,000, calling for 12,000 and 10,000. Those people never bought in. They always miss out. They have no Bitcoin. I don't even see them in the server anymore. They don't know what they're doing. So for me, and I'll give this advice to everyone, always pay a little bit more for your Bitcoin or Ethereum. Don't wait for the bottom, because you don't know when the bottom is. Just if you're going to open a position, open the damn position and DCA, dollar cost average, in that position and grow it. Have conviction in what you're buying, because if you don't, you're just going to miss the boat. So for me, I thought 59 where it hit was the bottom. Could it retest it? Maybe, but I don't think so, because we're in war and we're sitting at $70,000 right now. Number one, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, which means there's no oil going to China, India, the rest of the world. Okay. This is like worst case scenario. It's not even really, I mean, it's on X and here and there, but it's not really even that on the news. Interest rates are still relatively high. M2 supply is going through the roof. I see a situation. And then also MicroStrategy's Sailor, I did a video on it actually on this channel. You can go see last night, is basically the Terminator. He has come back with a vengeance. He has this new system, this new bond called Strike, new stock that he has, and it's paying 11.5%.
I've got some. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's killing it. He's raising billions and billions of dollars. He bought 18,000 Bitcoin last week. I think he's going to buy another 18,000 this week. Just do the number, just do the math. I think the reality is this. I think within the next 3 to 4 months, you're going to start to see the markets start to get into kind of like, we're flying. We're going to get flying. And I think by the end of the year, I think Bitcoin, Ethereum are all going to hit close to their old highs, if not go past them. I'm actually pretty bullish. And that's why I'm trying to farm as much as I can now, because I want to stack and compound as much as I can, because I know 6 months is what I'm saying, 9 months max. These numbers we're seeing aren't going to be there. Everything is showing us that it's going in the right direction. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to hold on to my Bitcoin and my Ethereum and all my other, even ICP. I think ICP is going to do great. I see somebody in the chat here. Yes, I see, oh, there's the man, there's there's Mr. Crawford himself. So ICP is going to do great. I think MicroStrategy is going to do great. BMNR is going to do great. I think all these are going to go to new highs sometime in 2026. I think 2027 is what you're going to see a true crypto bull market, because everything will converge. You'll have the convergence of M2, velocity of money, sorry, and interest rates. Interest rates are still too high. Interest rates need to drop by 2% more in order for us to see a true, real, profound, breathtaking alt market. Bitcoin and Ethereum might still move, but not the alts. The alts they're so far out on the risk curve, guys, that they need this optimal situation. Otherwise, it's not going to run. That's my idea.
And if you are a long-term believer in any of them, right now they are dirt cheap. Yes. So if you're accumulating, it's a great time right now. This is when fortunes are made in this part, and at least in crypto, in this part of the 4-year cycle. Like if you accumulate heavily over the next couple months, and then things start picking up again in the next 1 to 3 years, the returns are crazy. I've always played the 4-year cycle, and I've done really well that way. I'm not the best day trader. I'm not the best swing trader. I'm okay.
Me neither.
Yeah. I'm good at technical analysis, but you really never know what's going to happen. Like it's at a certain point, it's gambling. So I play bigger 4-year cycles because the charts are just like so they're so repeatable. It's really easy to say, okay, if I just keep buying heavily here, and then I just keep buying, and then over this year I start selling while everybody else is getting greedy and FOMOing in, I've been able to do 4 or 5 X's over a 4-year cycle that way, just on Bitcoin. So
I agree.
Same strategy is what I do here, but over this last 4 or 5 years, I've really increased my liquidity provisioning I use liquidity providing as my form of dollar cost averaging.
Oh, interesting.
So I deploy my capital while everything's chopping and fluctuating, because I don't want to try to time short-term, medium-term market movements. I just earn consistently all along the way, and I take all of that new capital, new Bitcoin that I've generated now, new USDC, new ETH, and I just add that to my bag, or I use those to create new liquidity positions and compound it and do the same. Then when the bull run comes, I've basically been able to double or triple my bags just from liquidity farming.
I totally agree. I farmed 500 AVAX the last cycle, and that 500 AVAX, when the market pump went from $5,000 to worth over like $28,000.
Yeah,
it was crazy. And then also my liquidity position I had on, I think I had my liquidity position on PancakeSwap. I had a position of BTC and ETH, went from 2,400 to 8,900 because I was compounding it the whole bear market. So like there's so many powerful things like you just said. And I actually just opened that position just for fun. I wasn't even like thinking about it, but I literally opened it at the bottom of the bear market. And I was like, yeah, it's really low. I'll put a position in F. I didn't even look at it. I didn't even look at it. And one day I looked at it. It was like 6 or 7 grand. I'm like, oh, why didn't I put more? And that's what's going to happen to a lot of people when you're going to get into Snuggle and MaxFi. When the bull market hits and when it's raging, you're going to look at your account. You're going to have 10 grand in there. It's going to be worth like 25 or maybe even 30 grand. And you're going to be earning fees, not on the 10, but on the 30, because now you're providing even more. And you're going to go to yourself exactly what I said to myself. Why didn't I put in more? Because then you realize if you had put in 30 grand, you'd be earning on 100 grand, and it's insane. But then at that point, you'll be making other calculations like, do I just take this money off the table now? Because, you know, I got 100 grand. It's a big, so hopefully you'll be having those type of conversations. Because when I got to about 8,900 and I got tired of rebalancing it because it kept going in and out of range. All into USDT. And that's a conversation you're going to have to take because it becomes annoying to manage. But with MaxFi, it's not annoying to manage. So it is what it is.
It's so easy.
It's so easy.
Liquidity provisioning has never been easier for me in my life. And I am
easy.
outperforming even myself when I was doing it manually. It's just so capital efficient. And something cool that you alluded to earlier is eventually everybody is going to be using this system. And the reason that is because capital is attracted to the most capital efficient markets.
Correct.
As soon as people realize they're losing a lot more money than they should be on these other platforms, and they've heard of a new capital efficient system, they migrate their capital over. It's interesting right now because we're making so much money off of these other liquidity providers on these other platforms that are swapping back and forth every time they rebalance. We get paid those liquidity fees. We don't ever swap. We never pay them liquidity fees. So all of that capital is getting extracted from their positions into our positions.
And I think that alone should be a stark warning to people who are liquidity farming on those other systems who are not on MaxFi or Snuggle. You are just being screwed. And hopefully our message, please share this message to people that are liquidity farming, because hopefully they see this video or they see our tweets and they start to understand the system. So you don't have to be screwed. You're literally giving away your money for no reason. So I appreciate you for building this. I don't have any more questions, but we'll do more AMAs and stuff in the coming weeks. Do you have any other questions or?
I always have a million questions, but
okay,
we can save it for another live stream because this is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. But you're a big picture kind of guy. You're a great investor. I've known this for years. And I want you to kind of share with the audience your portfolio allocation theory. So a lot of people in this space, especially, they get excited by big numbers and they will go all in. They will YOLO on one degenerate position and they could potentially hurt themselves. So what is your portfolio allocation strategy?
Yeah. So I'm coming up with, obviously my techniques are changing, but the technique that I have right now is I want to put 70% of my money into safe blue chips, which is ETH, USDC, Bitcoin, USDC, maybe even a stable pair. I'm not a fan of stable pairs because they just don't pay enough, but you could if you wanted to. So keep the majority of your portfolio in a safe space. If you find another token that's safe, I think Syrup token might be kind of safe that you might like, or one of the other ones out there that you think is safe that pays maybe a little bit more than Bitcoin and ETH. Always make sure if you're going to be in another pool that you're farming, it pays more than Bitcoin and ETH. And right now, Bitcoin and ETH on MaxFi is paying about, it depends on the range. I've seen anywhere from 200 to 400%. So always make sure you're beating that if you're going to go into something. And then the other 30% of the money. So if you have $10,000, put 70% of it in the safe stuff, then take 30%, go YOLO. It's okay. Go Kelly Claude, go and then mix it up. Don't put all 3,000 in just one, because we don't know those tokens are going to go to zero. We don't know. Research on them. They look like they're going to do well, but what looks good now in crypto, we've learned 3 months later, looks like a rug. So in crypto, you just have to be a little bit more cautious. So if you have $3,000, you don't go 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. I would even go more. I would go like 750, 750, 750, 750, like mix it up, or even 500 into 6 different positions and let that play out. And one of those tokens might start really earning crazy fees. And then you can start taking from some of the other ones and going back into that one. So you'll kind of learn and you manage the system, which is basically what I'm doing. I'm closing out positions that aren't paying and I'm putting them in positions that are paying. So I'm reallocating all the time. And you can do that with this system because it's so easy to do. Otherwise, it would have been a pain in the ass. So that's what I suggest to everyone. Go 70-30. If you have $10,000 and you're doing all $10,000 on a degenerate token, yes, you will look like you're making money and everything is kumbaya until that token goes to zero one day. And we don't know. Me and Alex and the system and the world do not know. So this is what I would do if I was, but this is what I am trying to do right now. So that's my recommendation for you guys out there.
Thank you for that. That's really great wisdom in all aspects of crypto, stocks, investing in general. Diversify and manage your risk reward ratios for your entire portfolio appropriately. I totally agree. And user education is key. So
100%.
Snuggle and MaxFi are tools. That's it. They may be the most capital efficient tool in the world right now, but it's still a tool that you have to learn how to use. You can swing a hammer and drive a nail and build a house, but you can also swing a hammer and smash your thumb. So use the tool wisely and get better with it. Practice, learn, study the materials on the website, watch the videos, subscribe to his channel, subscribe to my channels. We're constantly putting out educational content. Also, we're doing tons of research on alpha. We are looking for the best performing positions right now all across the market. So join the Discord community for MaxFi. That is, and Snuggle, and MaxFi especially, if you're looking for information in alpha on some of these more exotic pairs, because doing all that research on your own can be daunting and time consuming. And there are people who are already doing that and putting in hours and hours of research on this stuff and then putting in test positions and documenting that data. And that is invaluable. It's worth gold. Those are gems. So it'll save you tons of time, tons of money, because their mistakes will benefit you. So you can kind of skip ahead in the process. You can learn quicker, you can get better faster, and then practice opening different positions, tracking them, write down your numbers. I've got all this amazing technology. I built some of the craziest systems you could ever imagine, but I still love pen and paper to track my positions and really see how they're doing from when I entered them. And a couple of weeks later, I evaluate, is this position worth it for me to be in, or should I move it to a different position that is doing better overall? So yeah, it's a tool, you guys. Learn. Education is key. I've been doing concentrated liquidity provisioning for 4 or 5 years now. I've taught it professionally for years to probably $50 to $100 million of capital deployed. And I am still learning every single day. I am still getting better at this. So don't ever think you know it all. Always keep learning more, because you will just keep getting better at this. And if you make a mistake or you trip up on something, don't give up. Ask questions. We are there actively. We will answer your questions. Ask questions, try out different things, and keep learning. You'll keep getting better at it.
Well, thank you, Alex. I think that's very wise words. And with that, guys, we're going to be getting going, and we're going to do more AMAs in the coming weeks and months. And we're posting all the updates, and I'll do more update videos and stuff like that. But thanks for everyone that asked questions. And if you have any other questions, like Alex said, come in the Discord. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.